I don't think I need to spend too much time explaining why the first Metroid Prime is so successful and so celebrated to this day, to the point that it not only got a remaster, it's also getting its third sequel in Metroid Prime 4 Beyond on the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2. It all started with this first game, and I think the internet and largely YouTube, the community itself, has done a very good job with retrospectives and reviews explaining why that is. And while I do touch on those things in this video, this really isn't a full-on retrospective in terms of like an objective game criticism standpoint. It's more about my personal experience with it. A lot like my Skyrim video, this game means a ton to me, and it was one of the first games I ever actually played, and it holds an extremely important place in my heart. This video is being uploaded on April 25th of 2025. My grandfather passed away this day exactly 1 year ago in 2024. It has been something that I have not really moved past, and it's been a hell of a year trying to recover from it. It was a real blow, and there's a lot of games and movies that he enjoyed that going back and watching, it's hard to finish. My wife had never seen the original Lord of the Rings trilogy all the way through, and my grandfather was a massive fan. He read the books when he was on night shift, so yeah, he was an older fella. He knew a thing or two about movies, and he was a big fan of them. Metroid Prime is one of those games that truthfully captivated him to a point that it was one of the only games he would bring up when someone talked about how good graphics are getting. Newer games would come out, like when I got my PS3 for the first time, and even when I got my PS4, and my pop would still say, man, nothing beat that Metroid Prime. That was ahead of its time. He loved it. Something about the art style and the first-person perspective on that GameCube, playing it on our old plasma TV. It was one of those original plasma ones. Like, it was a huge, bulky monster, and you couldn't have it in direct sunlight because it didn't have a very good backlight. So it had to be in the middle of the house where there were no other windows around it for the light to bounce off of. It was massive. And it was a ton of fun, as I was around 7 years old the first time I played it. It actually was so immersive and so cryptic compared to the games I usually played, like Sly Cooper or Super Mario Brothers in Pop-Pop's case, very straightforward games. We actually had to look up a guide. My Pop-Pop had to break out his laptop and look up how to get through the Chozo Ruins, how to get to Flagra, how to get to the Magmore Caverns, and that made us feel really connected to the world of Metroid Prime. So much so now that I can't really play the game without feeling him, like he's right next to me watching me play. It was a truthfully amazing experience, and it was a ton of fun discovering everything for the first time. Like I said, those areas like the Chozo Ruins, Magmore Caverns, the Fenjana Drifts, all connected by the Talon Overworld. It was a real treat learning on my own where to go and what to do. That intro on the Space Pirate Frigate is one of my favorite gaming intros of all time. It perfectly explains how to play the game in somewhat of a hand-holding way, but also in a really fun and engaging and action-packed way that was a perfect way to start the game with a bang and then let the story take a back seat and let you explore the planet on your own. And that's where me and Pop-Pop had our most fun, trying to figure out where to go, and when we did figure out where to go and kill the boss like Flagra or the Hive Totem, what do we do next? And that's where the guide came in. Eventually, we spent so much time just walking around the same areas over and over that I would eventually learn I had to use the charge beam on certain walls or put a missile in the right place over here. And the music and the atmosphere was just absolutely peak. The Metroid Prime soundtrack, especially that title theme, is one of the greatest video game compositions ever. And I'm going to be 100% honest here. I don't think Metroid Prime 2 and 3 were as good as the original. I like Prime 2, but it wasn't really the same, especially with the light and dark mechanic. Dark Ether was kind of a headache to get through, and Prime 3 was on the Wii, and I really wasn't interested in motion controls for anything besides Mario Kart, so Prime 3 kind of flew over everything. But I was always looking forward to Metroid Prime 4. And it's a crying shame because I remember showing my grandfather the original announcement, the original logo, before they changed it. It was years ago that they finally announced it was in development. My grandfather passed away, if I'm not mistaken, 4 months before the trailer for Metroid Prime 4 was released. And that was such a gut punch because it's about to come out. It looks really good. The issues with Nintendo and pricing I'm putting aside for this video because Metroid Prime 4 does look really cool. And I think he would have really enjoyed seeing it. And if he was still here, I would probably foot the bill to get a Switch 2 and get that game just to see him enjoy it. Because he was so in love with the Metroid Prime formula of exploration and the soundtrack and the boss fights. Him watching 7-year-old me take down the Parasite Queen, he was ecstatic because when he tried it, he didn't understand that not only did you have to lock onto the Parasite Queen, you had to also dash left and right to avoid her plasma attack. He really wasn't that good at first-person shooters, given his experience, I don't blame him, and I was a lot more attuned to it since I was growing up with it. I remember my cousin tried to play it next to me, and he couldn't figure out how to use the B button to dash either, so he handed the controller to me and I took him out, and I never forgot that feeling I got when he high-fived me for figuring out how a basic game mechanic works. It sounds crazy, but it means a ton to me. Gathering all the upgrades like the Morph Ball, Missile Launcher, the Wave Beam, Ice Beam, it's a ton of fun. And I made a good way through the game. I've never actually finished Metroid Prime all the way through. I've seen what happens with it, and obviously I've played the games that came after it, so I have the general consensus of the story, but I've made the decision that I am never going to finish Metroid Prime, even though I have the remaster now on the Switch, which is what I'm using for the gameplay footage, because it just looks nicer than trying to run a certain program on my computer that I won't mention, because I think Nintendo might bust down my door if I do mention a certain... FBI, open up! I've made the decision that I don't think I want to finish it. I didn't get to experience it with him, so I'm not going to. I'm going to let it lie. And more to that point, there's one room from the last time I did use that unspecified software from unspecified origin to make the game work on my laptop and cast it to the TV with an HDMI cable and use an Xbox controller to play the game since we didn't have our GameCube anymore at the time. The last time I played it with him, I made it to this room in the Fendrana Drifts. And this is where I will stop. I love Metroid Prime, and I beat 80% of the game. I know how it ends, but I am never, ever on this save file going to leave this room. This was the last room that he saw of Metroid Prime, and it's really fitting because the music in Fendrana Drifts is super chill, super laid back and peaceful. It's perfect. He liked the Magmore Caverns. He thought it was a lot more exciting, but I really like the Fendrana Drifts aesthetic, and it's really fitting that this is the last room that he got to see. So that's why Metroid Prime means the world to me, and I hope others have similar experiences with games because I love making these types of videos. I love going over why these games mean a ton to me. I think this is the content that I enjoy making the most, and I'm still trying to figure out the niche that I want to fill here on YouTube. I'm trying out a few different things, talking about a few different things, but at the end of the day, this channel was created out of a passion for games, and I have to thank Pop for that. He encouraged me to do a lot of it, and there's a lot of folks that encourage me. He's just the one that this video was about. So Pop, I hope you hear this. Metroid Prime 4 is coming out, and it looks good. I'm sure you would have enjoyed it. But for now, I will thoroughly enjoy playing Metroid Prime up to this point in Fendrana Drifts over and over again, just to feel what that original sit-down, couch co-op style gameplay we had felt like. I appreciate you guys watching, and hope you guys have a good one.